What's up, y'all? You have made it to the grand finale. You will find out what champion we have in our bracket in this video. This is the final part of our bracket. This is part 4. So, as you saw, someone may have said part 2, but that's actually part 3. This is part 4. This is our final video for the day for our official bracket. Please compete against our bracket. We want you to compete. We want you to think you can win. We're on the quest for the perfect bracket. Link is in the description to the group, and password is also on screen, but I'll tell it to you right now. Write your story, capital W, capital Y, capital S. Now, I won't tell you who the winner is, but we pretty sure it's going to happen. So thank you for listening, and enjoy this final part of our official bracket. So let's go to the Midwest. Let's close it out. Is this a lock for Purdue to make it past the first round?
It's never a lock for Purdue to make it past the first round.
Well, but is that going to be in our bracket?
Yes.
They will.
Okay.
They will beat Montana State. I think Montana State's better than Grambling State. I think they beat Montana State.
Yes, they will make it.
There's no way.
Oh man, y'all love Utah State, so no TCU, no horny toad.
Hold the phone.
Okay.
Hold the phone. Here's the thing. TCU, I like them. They get out in transition very well. They shoot the ball very well. They're a good defense. They play high pace. Utah State's also good. They're one of the best shooting teams in the nation. They're very effective from the field. They also don't give up threes. They're third in the nation in 3-point percentage allowed. I think Utah State wins this game, and I feel bad because I really like TCU a lot, and I think they got a bad rap.
Yep, this is a bad draw.
This is just tough.
I take Utah State. I think it's going to be a great game.
Right.
I know I said last year that FAU versus Memphis would be the best game of the first round. I think this is that. I've already texted one of my friends. I struggled this game. I've been looking into this game more than any other game in the first round because it is that close. But I think that Great Ozabor and the rest of this Utah State team come out in a very, very tight battle.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, mine is my pick is TCU, but y'all go Utah State. Now we go Gonzaga versus McNeese.
Kevin, I want to know what you think.
About TCU or Gonzaga and McNeese?
Gonzaga McNeese.
I don't know much about McNeese, but I think I'm going to go with... Oh, that's what they're talking about. All right. I'm looking at the summary, as you can see, but I think I'm going to go Gonzaga.
All right, Kevin. Us, not so fast. I don't know if you guys recognize him. Got a little Lee Corso, but it's not a terrible pick. Gonzaga really turned it on towards the end of the year. However, let me read something to you. McNeese is 5th in points allowed in the nation. They are 10th in total field goal percentage on offense. They are 8th in 3-point percentage. They are 3rd in field goal percentage allowed. They are 9th in turnovers forced per game. And they have a guard in Shahada Wells who averages 18 points a game and 3 steals per game. They shoot 39% from 3 and average 36 rebounds per game. They steal the ball 11 times a game and only turn the ball over under 10 times a game. They don't have a lot of competition. I mean, their schedule, they don't play top teams. But earlier in the year they beat VCU, and VCU is not a bad team. Earlier in the year they beat UAB. They beat Michigan. They beat Louisiana. And they've only lost 3 games. I think people are going to sleep on McNeese because they don't necessarily care enough because Gonzaga's a name. Mm-hmm. I think this is a huge trap. I think this is a huge trap because Gonzaga is overseeded right now. I did not expect them. I thought they were going to be a 7 seed, especially after losing in their conference championship. Them getting bumped to a 5 was surprising. I don't know, Austin, how do you feel? I'm picking McNeese, by the way.
I figured since you called him a sleeper, but good enough for the record.
I'm also taking McNeese. I've been very impressed looking at their stats. They're seventh in offensive rating in the nation, third in defensive rating. You don't see that. That adds up to 10. You don't see that. It's extremely surprising. They were a great team this year, came out of nowhere. They are a sleeper. I do think Gonzaga, I don't know if they should be a 7, but I definitely expected them to be around a 6 seed. And I do think they're a little bit overseeded, and I think McNeese is really going to come to play.
But yeah, thank you, Jake, for the detailed info. That is why you are our March Madness expert. But now let's get into it. I don't know if this is a team where we may change it depending on the health. Kansas versus Samford.
Jake, I'll go first
You
here.
can go ahead.
Yeah,
Me go first?
yeah, I'll go first.
Oh, you go first. Okay, yeah, please.
Sanford's a very good team. They're 29-5. They have a lot of capable scorers, four guys who average 10.9 points or more, and they also have a guy averaging 9 points. They are relatively deep. They have about 8 guys that they play at least 17 minutes a night. And Kansas has not been Kansas recently. Mentally speaking, they just don't look like they have it anymore. I think we could see a 12-13 matchup in the second round.
Austin's definitely not crazy to think so. Samford is great, and they have a guy named Achor, and that's just really fun. And who doesn't want to see Achor go on and play many games? With you take away, yes, they have Kansas has McCullough and Dickinson injured. It's looking like McCullough may play. We don't know about Dickinson, or maybe the other way around. I'm not sure. But this, like Austin said, this Kansas team is not great. They're not phenomenal defensively. Hunter Dickinson is almost a liability on the interior. He's not great on the interior. He gets blocks, and the numbers don't show it, but he's not a great interior defensive big man. They shoot just under 33% from three, and their rebounding is essentially just Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough. And if you remember those two names that I mentioned a minute ago, they didn't play in the Big 12 tournament. And they lost in their first matchup to Cincinnati without them, those two. Dejuan Harris is really good, but when you lose your interior offense and you shoot the 333rd most three-pointers per game, your offense is kind of done. And so if McCullough and Dickinson are healthy, I'm picking them to win, but it's not looking great for them.
Both of those guys are game time decisions, and Samford shoots 39% from three and 49% from the field. Those are both seventh in the nation. I've been very down on Kansas recently, ever since they really lost to Texas Tech by almost 30. They're 4-6 in their last 10, while Samford is 8-2. And I know Samford plays in a weaker conference, but Kansas looks not great. They don't look confident when they play. I know, especially during that Houston game that they got 30 balled, they just look out of it. I don't know if Bill Self is not saying the right things in the locker room or whatever, but they only really play 7 guys, sort of, and 2 of those guys are game time decisions. So I'm just not confident in this Kansas team. I would rather take Samford here.
When it comes down to it, you kind of hate to bet against Kansas, and Samford has not been hitting the three ball
I'll bet
very
against
well.
Kansas.
They haven't been hitting the three ball very well, but without even with Hunter Dickinson, Achor is going to be a problem on the interior, and so I think Samford wins this in a close one.
All right, so we're all Samford. So Kansas fans, talk about it in the comments or not. I do not care. Your team will lose. So now we got South Carolina versus Oregon. What are...
Okay, I'll take this one. I'll take this one to start. Oregon is the other team that I've been following. It was New Mexico, it was Iowa State, and it was Oregon. Those are the 3 that I've mainly followed this year. And I remember having countless conversations with Austin about Oregon as a team. And I just kept reiterating, it's really a shame that they are so injured this year because they could never seem to get their full squad together. They still haven't. They still have not had their full squad together. Yet they went on and won the Pac-12. They beat Arizona. They beat Colorado without one of their 7-foot big men on the interior, who has played 4 games this year. He got hurt, and then he came back for like a game, and then got hurt again. They still won, and they're good. Statistically, Oregon, nothing about Oregon jumps out. They are statistically middle of the pack in like almost everything. But I have told Austin before, I don't bet against Dana Altman. Every time Oregon makes it, I pick them. And every time they make it, they win. They win. And because they always somehow find a way to put the pieces together. The last time they were in the tournament, they beat Iowa in the second round. Iowa was the 2 seed with Luka Garza. 2 years prior, we have to skip 2 years because one of them was COVID. They went to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8, I don't remember, as a 12 seed. Then the year prior, or 2 years prior, they were a 3 seed and went to the Final Four. Austin also posed the question to me a couple weeks ago. He said, if Oregon goes on a run and wins the Pac-12, do you pick them to win? And I said yes, because that means they're hot. And that means they're together and they're winning games. South Carolina is a good team. They're good defensively. But they're not deep at all. They have 2 big men. That's valuable when Oregon really only has 1 in N'Faly Dante. But right now, Oregon's the hot hand. And just for the sake of it, I have to pick Oregon because they're kind of like the team I pick every year. There's always one of those teams. Whenever they make it, you kind of have to pick. And Oregon is that for me. And they have it together at the right time. They just won the Pac-12, beating Arizona and Colorado. And so I'm picking the Ducks to move on.
Kevin, I'm interested to see what you think about this game.
I'm feeling Oregon. Like Jake mentioned, they're hot. And I'm not a huge fan of South Carolina. However, it seems like Oregon can be a finicky team at times.
I agree. I have Oregon as well. I do think that they're, like Jake said, some trap teams. Like NC State, in my opinion, is a trap team. I don't feel that way about Oregon. N'Faly Dante went 12 for 12 last night to win the Pac-12 title, and I'm extremely impressed by them.
Yeah, and
Right.
while you don't want to sleep on a team like South Carolina because they've been good and they've won games. And I mentioned that Oregon's stats, none of them jump off the board. Neither do South Carolina's. And so I think this is a little bit of a trap. I think South Carolina had a couple big wins, including Tennessee, including Florida, I think they beat Auburn. I'm not sure. I know they didn't beat Auburn. They beat Texas A&M, and they beat
South Carolina got destroyed by Auburn both times.
And they beat Kentucky.
So,
that's the other one, Kentucky. And so they have good wins, but I worry about their depth, and I like Oregon every year because Dana Altman is just one of the superior coaches in the league. And so Oregon wins this one.
all right, so now we got Creighton versus Akron.
Akron.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I was laughing at the way you said it.
Yeah, it's Akron.
Akron? All right, oops.
No. Austin, you take this one. I took Oregon.
I like Akron. Enrique Freeman is amazing. But in all honesty, Creighton is such a great team. I would be shocked if Creighton lost this. They're a very good team, and I definitely think that they're much better than Akron.
I'm going to have to agree with Austin here. Creighton's a good team, one of the best starting 5s in the nation. And when all 4 of them, are good, they're good. That's how they beat UConn. And so Akron is not going to have enough defense to stop Kalkbrenner.
All right. So hopefully Austin now has his special watch so he doesn't time slip. Nope, that's a different reference. Across the Spider-Verse, I don't remember that exact word, but is Texas back? Do they beat either Colorado State or UVA?
First off, let's point out I don't think Austin and I feel that Virginia earned the right to be here. Um, they've not been good. They're a really good defensive team, like they always are, but they have not won close games. And teams like Providence and got a little bit screwed over. Virginia should not be here. They're in because of name value. Now they could prove us wrong and win in the first four, and I would love that for them. But I don't see it happening. I see Colorado State winning over Virginia. Austin is going to agree with me here.
100%. There's no way Virginia wins this game. They're not good enough. I would have liked to see Oklahoma in this spot. I think they deserved it more than Virginia. But there's a lot of teams. You mentioned Providence. I would agree with there. St. John's or any of these teams. Virginia should have when they.
Indiana State.
Yes, Indiana State as well. Kevin, if you saw the ending of the Virginia NC State game, you would understand that they don't deserve to make it just based on the last 2 minutes of regulation in that game.
NC State shouldn't be here. Like, it was so bad. They missed free throw after free throw. They missed stupid decision after stupid decision. It was awful.
They fouled.
I didn't know about it.
Yeah,
they fouled a 3-point shooter at the end of the game. Like, they shouldn't be there. And so, Colorado State beats Virginia, and then Colorado State beats Texas.
Oh, wow.
Austin has heard me discuss Texas earlier this year. I liked them a little bit. I was kind of hyping them up. I thought they had a lot of potential. But over the course of the past month and a half or so, 2 months, they have not shown that they are the team to put it together. They have Asmus. He's awesome. They have Tyrese Hunter. I love him. They have Dylan Dessou. He's awesome. But they don't seem to mesh. And defensively, they're a little lacking. And then other than that, they're kind of weak in depth. And Colorado State is strong defensively. And Isaiah Stevens is one of the best guards in the league. And so I have Colorado State winning as a 10.
Make sure your watch is tightened up, Austin.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Kevin, I would like to say, or I would like to hear, what do you think about this Texas versus potentially Colorado State matchup?
You know, I was thinking about that. I was thinking Colorado State, but then I remember Texas has Asmus, and, you know, Asmus makes his name in March, so I'm feeling Texas, even though they're a overrated school.
You went from love to hate extremely quickly.
Dude, I love the hate on Texas. It's pretty funny.
I really, really, really want to go Texas here. I'm a big fan of Max Asmus. I'm a big fan of Dylan Dessou, him shooting basically 50% from three on 3.5 attempts per game. But I'm a Mountain West baby this year. They are extremely, extremely, extremely impressive. Isaiah Stevens, Joel Scott, Patrick Cartier they're just all amazing. And they're fifth in all college basketball in assists, so they pass the ball around. They get a lot of people touches. They shoot extremely efficiently, 49% from the field. I'm going to agree with Jake here and go Colorado State.
Okay. Now, who does Colorado State face? Tennessee, or St. Peter's?
Tennessee. I don't think St. Peter's gets another 15-seed run. I don't believe in it.
All right.
It'd be funny, and the idea of it would be very, very entertaining. But no, it's not going to happen. Tennessee should win.
I don't know how Connect doesn't drop 40.
Well, you should have seen him against Mississippi State.
This is St. Peter's, Jake.
So now, Tennessee versus Colorado State. Who wins?
On paper, Tennessee should blow them out the water. However, basketball is not a number. Basketball is not a game you can analyze on paper. I think Tennessee wins, but I don't think it's easy for them. I think this is a tough game. I think they struggle to win this game. And so I think Tennessee moves on, but I like Colorado State a lot. It'll be a
This is
close one.
this is a game that is extremely close. I'm going to take Tennessee as well. I can't see Tennessee losing to uh, Colorado State here, but it will be close.
Yeah, we are big fans of Tennessee. Now, do they face Oregon or Creighton?
um, I love Oregon. I love Oregon. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, but I have no ties to Oregon. No reason to love Oregon. I think Creighton wins. um, they're the best starting four in the nation. They compete with North Carolina for that title. Um, and Kalkbrenner is just so good on the interior, and Shireman has just really stepped it up. And Trey Alexander is a phenomenal scorer. And if Ashworth just hits 2 threes, they're gonna win. And so, um, I want to pick Oregon. I really do. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna, for the sake of it, I'm picking Oregon just because I want to. Um, Creighton's a better starting five, but Oregon's hot, and I like them, and so I'm picking Oregon because they're my team. I like them. I gotta go. I gotta stick with the teams that I hype up, and so I'm picking Oregon. I picked Creighton to go to the Elite Eight last year. I was right about that, but I don't like it this year.
Uh, I'm
This is
not
the
going to fall
emotion.
for it. I'm not going to fall for it. Creighton has 3 guys averaging 17 plus points. Just those starting 3 are, I think it's the best 3 guys in the starting lineup in all of college basketball between Trey Alexander, Baylor Shireman, and Ryan Kalkbrenner. It's remarkable. The way they defensively rebound. They're 4th in the nation. They're top 40 in points per game. They're top 20 in offensive rating. This Creighton team is legit. And while I do like Oregon, I like their story. I like how hot they have been recently. This is Creighton, and I think Creighton's a much better team.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to side with Austin
yeah.
on this one.
Creighton's good. Creighton's good, and I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad. This was my emotion pick of the bracket. Like I just feel so connected to Oregon every year, and every year I think they come with a fire, and so uh, I'm not even mad. Creighton will probably win this, but I think Oregon's got a better shot than most people think, and I'm gonna stick by, and I'm gonna be rooting for them, and I'm gonna have them in my individual bracket just because I want them to.
All right, so now McNeese versus Sanford.
McNeese, I think it's pretty easy. I think they're the better of these 2 matchups, or of these 2 teams. They have more experience just because their coach has coached at a Power 5 school for so long, previous in Will Wade, and had some tournament appearances there. I do like Sanford. Like I said, they shoot 49% from the field and 39% from 3, but this McNeese team is extremely, extremely good. Them having the 3rd best defensive rating in the country, they're extremely, extremely efficient. Shahada Wells is just amazing, and I think they win this game.
I agree. I think McNeese wins this game. They're too hot. They're too good. They're too good up and down the board. They are the Cinderella team this year.
All right. Now, I think we can all agree Purdue's not winning, right?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I'm going Purdue. I know I don't want to go Purdue. I don't. I've done a lot of research into the team. I don't want to go Purdue. But to beat Purdue, you have to be a very efficient 3-point shooting team. And Utah State is not. They only shoot 33% from 3. Great Osborne is very good, but this Zach Edey version of Zach Edey, I think, is better than the past couple of years. I know they have Isaac Johnson at Utah State, who's 7 foot, so they have some height there, and they definitely aren't any scrubs on the Utah State side. But it's tough because, again, I don't like Purdue as a team. But I think the matchup, the way the bracket was set up, it gave them a great chance to make a long run.
Um, like I've mentioned before, anybody who watches this channel knows how we feel about the Big Ten. Um, and they know how we feel about Purdue. I hate Purdue. Um,
It's a strong word.
in
It
fact,
is.
I used to love Purdue. I loved them when they had Carson Edwards and Matt Harns and Caleb Swanigan. Those are good names. I loved them when they had Jaden Ivey. But I don't like Purdue because of the way that they are hyped every year. People are going to think I'm crazy. People think we're crazy already for not liking them. And while Utah State is not phenomenal from three, they are phenomenal from everywhere else on the court. They are eighth in total field goal percentage in the nation. They're not a phenomenal defensive team, but they're definitely better than most Big Ten teams. I think I don't want to pick Purdue. I don't want to
I
pick
didn't want to
Purdue.
either. I didn't want to either, Jake. But they shoot
I,
over 40% from three. They shoot 41% basically. They fixed their issues
against
from last
awful
year.
defenses, against awful
I
defenses who don't
I,
know how to.
I
I
know
can't.
that. I get it,
I
Jake.
can't.
We've had these conversations for weeks now. We know that their stats are inflated. We don't believe that they're truly a one seed. We believe that they are not as good as people say they are. But in this matchup, you have to be able to shoot threes to beat Purdue. Most of the teams that beat them end up shooting extremely efficiently from three. And I don't
But you have to
necessarily
be
know.
decent.
The problem is
But,
here's
but
another big
here's
problem.
but here's my argument though. Here's my argument. Utah State is third in D1 in 3-point percentage defense. They're third in opponent 3-point percentage. And if and I think that wins them the game.
The
I
best
think
score
that
on
perimeter defense wins the game.
Utah State is best scorer, Great Osborne, is an inside guy. Zach Edey can stay in the paint, Jake. And when you can stick Zach Edey in the paint, you know that he can be a great interior defender. His problem isn't that he's not a great interior defender. The problem is that when he has to get out and guard a stretch big. That is not what Utah State has. That is
I
not
know.
what
I
they can
know.
stick Edey in the paint, 7-4-0 in the paint, in just four strives. They can close out in four strives, and that's going to be a
But
problem for Utah State.
I just don't think that.
Maybe it's a low
I
scoring
think
game. Maybe it's a low scoring game. But the problem is, again, the best player for Utah State is a paint guy, a guy who is half over. No, he's 8 inches, 8 inches shorter than Zach Edey, and he's a paint guy.
That's insane.
8 inches.
I think
He's
he's
6'8"
quicker.
versus 7'4". He's quick,
I
sure,
think he's
but Zach
quicker.
Edey is long enough. We've seen Wimby play in the NBA. You can be quick enough, and Zach Edey has worked on his quickness. I'm not obviously comparing him to Wimby because Wimby can actually do stuff besides just be in the paint the entire game. But Edey's worked on his quickness. He has quicker feet than he did last year. You have to. We talked about the potential matchups, the teams that we love to see against Purdue. This was not one of them because they are so reliant on paint offense. The reason why Utah State shoots 49% from the field is because they're a paint offense team, and they also shoot some mid ranges. But Purdue's going to give those up. Utah State is not the greatest shooting team, and the problem is that again their best player, the guy they rely on to win games, the games that I watch against SDSU when Utah State wins, Great Osborne is playing amazing in the paint, and that's where Zach Edey lives. If you can get him out in the perimeter, I truly believe that Purdue is a significantly worse team than anyone thinks. Besides maybe you and me, Jake. But this is not the matchup we want to see. And so I'm taking Purdue, and I'm pretty confident about it.
I like Zach Edey. I don't like anyone else on the team. I don't think Zach
He's
Edey's a
good
guy
enough
who
to
can
win you a game.
single-handedly.
I
Not good
think
enough. Not. It doesn't work like that against a team like Utah State. They're good. They're good. They don't just get. They're good. They have two guys who shoot at least 37% from three, and that's not Great Osborne. Like they have guys. They were the number 1 seed in the Mountain West. Like, how does that get ignored? I'm not saying you're wrong, Austin. I'm saying
It's a bad matchup. It's a bad matchup for them. It's not that I think that they're. It's not because I don't realize that they were not that they were a great team during the regular season. It's not that I don't realize that they had the capabilities to beat a San Diego State and New Mexico, a low or a smaller team. But when your best scorer relies on paint shots, can everyone else step up? That's what you have to. That's the question you have to ask, and I don't know if that is possible.
Here's the thing, though. Osobor draws fouls, and if Zach Edey gets in foul trouble, they're done. And also, every time I watch a game, Osobor is getting to the foul line consistently.
Will
and so,
Osobor not foul out? Zach Edey draws more fouls than anyone in the nation, Jake.
I'm just saying.
Utah State could be in foul trouble.
I'm just saying. I think, man, I don't want to pick Purdue, and I don't believe in them, and I think they choke in big moments. I think their defense is just so unbelievably bad that it's gonna, like, Utah State's 3-point percentage, even though it hasn't been great. They're playing the best defenses in the nation in the Mountain West, and so when they play a team like Purdue with awful perimeter defense, they're gonna be able to hit open threes because they can. And so I think the Purdue's defense, I think Big Ten defenses, and you agree with me, are just so skewed. And I think Utah State will be able to start hitting their threes because they're playing the best defenses in the nation in the regular season. That's why their numbers are down. That's why New Mexico State's numbers are down. That's probably why San Diego State's numbers are down.
It is. Like, it affects everybody. I get that.
And so I think Utah State wins. I'm gonna stay firm with that. I just don't like Purdue, and I know you don't like Purdue either. But I think Utah State has the capability to overcome great Osobor being in the paint with Zach Edey, and I think they're a better coached team as well. And so I don't know. It's a tough one, but I'm gonna go with Utah State. It's the year of the Mountain West, like you said.
I think it's pretty sure what I'm going with. I don't like Purdue. I'm trusting y'all. Y'all don't like Purdue. You said they would win the Big Ten. They did not win the Big Ten. So they're not going to win this game, in my opinion. So Utah State. Now we got Utah State versus McNeese.
Wait, hold on. You can't just gloss over that. Why?
What? I just said it.
We eliminated a 1 seed. We got to explain.
Yeah. Well, no. We've spent hours on Purdue. So I'm like, I don't like Purdue.
Austin, they did just lose to Wisconsin.
Oh, I get that. But Wisconsin's best player is not a center.
I just don't trust Zach Edey. I don't believe in him, so don't believe in Purdue.
Let me say this. Let me say one more thing before we're done. If they do lose, it's not Zach Edey. I think Zach Edey is one of the best college players in a very long time. He is extremely efficient. He's getting to the line and shooting a good percentage for a 7'4" guy. We've never seen a 7'4" guy in college basketball shoot this well from free throw. Shoot 72%. Be a capable free throw shooter at the end of games.
He's going to eat.
Last year, Zach Edey was not the problem. He shot efficiently. He had a double-double. The problem was everyone else around him played horrible. They said, we will all guard Edey and let anyone else beat us. This year, they have the shooting to not allow those same pitfalls to happen. But I will say, no matter what, and I firmly believe this, I do also very much dislike Purdue. But if they lose, it won't be Edey. That's not their problem.
Mm-hmm. It won't be Edey. It'll be the rest of the team, which is why they lost to Wisconsin. They shot 31% from 3 during that game, and Wisconsin shot 22% from 3, and they still lost. Like everyone else,
Zach Edey had 28 and 11 with 3 blocks.
He was great, but this is what I mean, Austin. I know. Utah State is a far and away better team than Wisconsin, but it's the same scenario.
Wisconsin's best player is a shooting guard. AJ Storr is not a big man. It's tough when your primary guy is a center.
But Darius Brown shoots 40% from 3, and he's going to eat. Ian Martinez shoots 38% from 3. It's
I get it. I get it.
it's
I just think
and
this
they're
is a.
good defensively. I'm just saying. I think that's a trap one, Austin. I think it's another trap.
I
Edie's gonna eat. Edie's gonna eat. It's inevitable.
I
But
think
Utah
Trey
State
Osborne
has
could
the
get.
offense.
I think Osborne could get in significant foul trouble. Edie will play well enough. I think they don't have to be good at the 3-point defense if they just say flood to Edie, flood him the ball, close out too far and force him in. You don't have to be great. I mean, maybe they're not coached well enough. Maybe that's you mentioned is coaching. Maybe they're not coached well enough to do that. Hey, we're bad at defense. Let's just close out completely and just drive into the tallest guy in college basketball. But I I think it'll be close. I I feel bad for Edie because the team around him is not what he needs to succeed. But I do still think that they will win this game.
I also think this is going to be an Isaac Johnson game. Like he's a 7-foot center for Utah State. He's like they're gonna ask a lot more minutes from him to handle the interior of Zach Edey. That's why I think Utah State's going to make adjustments to handle Purdue, and Purdue's not going to make the adjustments they need to make. And I think that's why Purdue's going to lose, not because they're the worst team, but because they're not going to have it. They're just not going to do it. I just have a feeling.
Okay.
But
right.
we beat the dead horse. So
Beat the dead Boilermaker. He's crying as they lose again. So now Utah State versus McNeese.
what the hell is this? What the heck is this Sweet 16 matchup? Well,
I'm going to go. If Utah State beats Purdue, I'm going to go Utah State. They have a significant height advantage on McNeese. The tallest players on McNeese are 6'7", and the Great Osborne is extremely strong. He will push you around and get where he wants to if you're not strong enough. And I don't think anyone on McNeese is strong enough. I think Utah State has the experience playing in a really tough conference that if they do get through a situation where they don't have a good matchup, this is a good matchup. Osborne averages over a steal, over a block per game, while averaging 18 and 9. They again shoot 49% from the field. I just think they would overpower a McNeese team that isn't really used to a team like Utah State that's faced so many great teams beforehand.
I agree. Utah State wins this. Austin kind of hit the nail on the head there. And if they beat Purdue, that means they're hot and they're gonna win.
All right, so Creighton versus Tennessee. What's the pick?
I thought we picked Oregon.
No. You picked Oregon. You picked Oregon. We picked Tennessee.
You picked Oregon.
I thought Kevin
No, Kevin.
I thought Kevin
said Creighton.
No,
said Creighton.
I said Creighton.
Oh, okay. Okay, my bad. I had it wrong in my list.
Yeah, you picked Oregon.
Okay.
You
went emotional.
Yeah.
I went emotional. Yes. I was sticking with.
All right, so Creighton or Tennessee?
This is tough. Really tough. But I'm going to go Creighton.
You know, I'm kind of right there with you, Austin.
Oh, spicy. Wow. That I did not expect that. That was crazy.
Here's what I'll say, Jake. Let me explain a little bit. I told you this before about Creighton. What their problem was with a small amount of players who play is those back-to-back games. The Sweet 16 Elite 8, the Elite 8 game. This is the Sweet 16. They have 5 days to rest and prepare for this. They have time off. If this was the second round or this was the Elite 8, when they have to turn around after 2 days and play again, I would struggle to say they win. But they will be rested. They'll be well prepared. They're well coached. They have experience. They were there before, and they want to get back to the Elite 8.
I just think they're a worse team than they were last year.
But this Tennessee team has struggled
really
against.
Good.
I just don't. This Tennessee team has soured on me after losing certain games, and I love Connect. I love Adu.
I know, and I feel that way about Tennessee too. But Creighton lost 2 of their main scorers last year, and they made the Elite 8 with them. Kaluma and Nemhard. They lost them. Ashworth has stepped up a bit, but they are so unbelievably not deep. And a team like Tennessee, who plays hustle, who plays quick, and They're really good defense. I think they're going to wear them out. I think they're going to be tired. And like you said, they do have 5 days of rest, but Tennessee ain't no chumps. They're good defense. And so um, I have to pick Tennessee here, but I realize you guys are going Creighton. And it's not a bad pick because Kalbrenner and Alexander and Shireman are that good. Um, and Vescovy has been bad. Ziegler has not been amazing. And they kind of just plugged Connect in where Vescovy was last year. And then they're the same team in a way as last year. And so I don't love Tennessee either. And in a normal day, you know what? I'll go ahead and agree with you. I'll pick Creighton too. I like Creighton a lot more. I mean, I had to think on it a little bit. I've never really liked Tennessee this year. And like you said, they've soured on you. They've soured on me too. If Connect is hot, they win, but doesn't work like that in March Madness. So,
All right. So now, 3 seed versus an 8 seed. Utah State versus Creighton. Who wins? Who goes to the Final Four?
I'm going Creighton. I know I just
I'm
said
right there with you.
It's going to be tough going back to back, but the high after beating Tennessee, they've also. I know that Utah State's played really good teams in the Mountain West, but going through UConn and those matchups they've had to play with Marquette as well, Creighton is really built for this. Their top guys are at least. They have experience. They have the height. They have the offense to push their team as high as they need to be. And so I'm going to go Creighton.
yeah, Creighton's good. Creighton's pretty good. They could win this matchup.
All right. So we all agree, Creighton. Our Final Four is Iowa State, New Mexico. Make sure to check out part 1 for that. Now we got Texas Tech versus Creighton. Who advances to the finals, Texas Tech or Creighton?
If they're fully healthy.
With this match,
yeah,
we're assuming Texas Tech is fully healthy in this scenario. I think Texas Tech blows them out the water.
Texas Tech's deep. They have defense to guard Kalkbrenner. They have a 7-footer. They have a guy like that, while they also are more deep. Texas Tech's also a team that, like Tennessee, would kind of keep you high pace and make sure that you are feeling it. Texas Tech has 6 guys who average basically 10 points per game when they have Washington healthy and Darian Williams healthy. But they also have Corwin Walton off the bench who averages 8 points. They just have so many guys who can score. I
For the record, I want to point out, Kerwin Walton, I think, averages 47% from 3, and he has had like 140 3-point attempts. That's a lot.
Yeah, he averages over 4 a game, and he shoots 47%.
Over 4 threes a game, and Ed shoots 47% from 3. That is maybe the best 3-point numbers in the entire nation. And so they have guys up and down the board. And so in this instance, I picked Texas Tech to win if they're healthy. I'm really hoping they're healthy, because if they're healthy, I'm having them here. But
we do reserve the right to change this if they aren't healthy.
If it's Houston versus Creighton, we also take Houston. So I think Creighton.
Yes, I agree. So Texas Tech once goes back to the finals. Lubbock cancels school again. So now we got Iowa State versus New Mexico.
Iowa State. New Mexico doesn't have what is needed to beat Iowa State. I like New Mexico, not as much as Jake, but Iowa State has played some of the best teams in the country, and consistently they are victorious in those games.
The Lobos are my baby this year, man. I have cradled them, I have nourished them, I have taken care of them. And
that's a lot to unpack, but we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Look,
about that process.
That's how I feel.
Yeah,
they're my child.
How about your darlings?
I believed in them. I believed in them throughout. But the other team I believed in throughout was Iowa State. And those are the two main teams, with the addition of Oregon, that I was fully confident in. I was actually Oregon. I was less fully confident in. I ebbed and flowed, but I believed in them. But the two teams that I believed in this entire season were New Mexico and Iowa State. I love New Mexico. I think they're underrated. But for months now, I've been saying Iowa State's going to win the national championship. And so I'm picking Iowa State to move on to the Final Four. And I'm also picking them to win the national championship against Texas Tech.
Kevin?
With that matchup, I think I agree Iowa State wins the national championship. This is scary for me because I'm scared of Iowa State, but this is how the picks have gone. Austin, what do you think?
They played once before, and this was without Warren Washington healthy, and it was an 8-point game, and that game was at Iowa State, and it was close, and it was tough. And again, without Warren Washington, the Iowa State ended up winning by 8 points. With Warren Washington healthy, it's really close. Because you two are great team. Yeah, you go.
I want to point out.
Flip, Austin.
I want to
flip again.
That Iowa State has been not the greatest offensive team, but this was when they beat Texas Tech. That was the time period when they were the weakest as a team. I will say when I watching them this year, they were figuring out their identity a little bit. They were figuring out who starts and who doesn't. And Taman Lipsey was still figuring out his leadership role, I think. I'm not entirely certain. But that game was weird against Texas Tech the first time. Pop Isaacs did shoot them out of the game. And in that game, I will say, he went 0 for 7 from 3.
I still remember watching that game, and I remember talking to you during that game.
Why would that not happen again? I mean, I feel like throughout this entire situation, we've completely forgotten that Pop Isaacs exists on the team, and he's an inefficient scorer.
With incredibly Washington healthy, Pop Isaacs takes less shots because there's another mouth to feed.
Yeah, but the thing is with Warren Washington still healthy, he would still shoot them out of games sometimes. And that's why back in January when Warren Washington existed, I wasn't big on Texas Tech. Because with Warren Washington, they were losing to TCU and Cincinnati and Baylor. So I just
extremely big wins like Oklahoma, BYU, Texas, other tournament teams with Warren Washington healthy. Their record with Warren Washington is significantly better.
Yeah, I know Warren Washington is a huge factor. But the thing is like Iowa State, they don't have an interior guy that Warren Washington's going to be like rendering inefficient. Like Robert Jones is their interior guy, and he's not their number one scorer. And they have guards, Lipsey, King, Gilbert, Jones, Curtis Jones, who they score from different areas, and Momcilovic is one heck of a scorer for a freshman. And so in the event that Texas Tech is fully healthy, this is a really good matchup. But I have to stick with my gut, and my gut says Iowa State, and it's said Iowa State for two months now, ever since I saw them play for the first time. So, and I love Texas Tech too, but just be happy this year, Austin, that your team is in the final this time.
That's true, but also they could be out in the first round if both players are out. So
that's true. So
yeah, Austin, I don't think I'm gonna flip.
I don't need
you to stay with Iowa State.
I don't need you to.
You gotcha.
That's okay. I think just for the sake of being different, an emotional pick, as Jake put it, I'll say Texas Tech. But
You're allowed to
Got
have
it, got it.
You're allowed to have
Hey, you have your own bracket, dude, and I might do that in the own bracket. Because Red Raider. Now, what's the score?
it'll probably be in the
That's a low
60s.
scoring.
Yeah, it'll
That's a low
probably be
scoring game.
60s. It'll probably, we could say like,
I say Iowa State wins 62-58.
okay, that'd be
That's my
120 points. That's 120. I'd go anywhere between 115 and 125 for how many points combined.
Well, we do the score. You don't do total.
Oh, okay. Then, yeah, I was gonna say 60. I mean, I obviously disagree on who wins, so I'll let Kevin. What do you think?
So I like around the 60s. I might go 60. Jake said 62. We'll go 64 for Iowa, and then maybe 61 or 62 for Texas Tech.
That's fine.
I think it's a close matchup. I think it's one of the better championships we will see in a while. That's a phenomenal competition.
So does that score work?
Yep, that works.
All right, it's locked in. Might be a change, but you'll see. We'll post about it if there is a change. Make sure to check out the description. Remember, password WriteYourStory. So fun. I enjoyed this. This was great. And I'm not being sarcastic, even though it might sound like I'm sarcastic. We've really enjoyed this March so far, and we're still getting through it. We're at the pinnacle, and we hope you keep staying by the channel and check out other videos, but make sure to follow us along as we will be doing follow-ups. And we got a lot cooking up for how things end, but stay on the lookout for that. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions. And that is it. Now you know that we chose Iowa State as our champion. If you disagree with us, let us know in the comments and compete against our bracket. You've heard in these videos 2 of the winners before. They one-liners. They beat us. They are etched into our podcast history, so that could be you if you win. It's unlikely, but you never know. Just like you never know in March Madness. Thank you for watching if you watched all 4 parts. If this is just part 4 and you're here to the end, we appreciate you listening. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we are so glad you've been watching the show, and we've enjoyed making this so far, and we cannot wait to see how March Madness starts. We will provide coverage with that as well. And thank you for listening to all the videos that we did. If you just listened to this one, thank you, and we appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.